Hey guys, GoodGuyDan here. Today I'm going to be showing you how I decal kits by working on the Crossbone X2 decals while recording for a little bit, and hopefully this will help you gain some insight into how I decal. The tools that I'll be using during this video are a toothpick, some Q-tips, a pair of tweezers, a hobby knife, and mark setter, mark softer. So this kit comes with a set of water slide decals, which are fairly common with some of these limited release models, and I'm just going to start applying into the kit, and hopefully this will help you out if you're not too familiar with doing the decaling process. So we're going to start with the little decal on the collars here, or not the collars, but the cuffs. So according to the instructions, it's number 13 on the decal list. So I'm just going to cut them all out. Nice and quick. I have a cup of good old tap water here. Decals on. Now what I do is I soak it long enough for the backing to get wet, and then I just lay it down on a piece of paper toweling and I let it rest for a minute. It's just a little bit easier than trying to keep it submerged in the water. You're less likely to lose the decal in your water cup by doing it this way. And while those are softening up, I'm going to cut out the next set of decals from the sheet. So this set of decals I'm about to soak in the water are for the back side of the arms. Okay. Alright, first set of decals are just wet enough that they're loose. So what I'm going to do is, there's my arm. It's going to go right here. I've now dropped this decal twice upside down, but amazingly they're still all on the paper. So we're just going to hit it with a bit of the setter. That'll just help form a good bond, prevent silvering. And just going to slide the decal right off the paper onto the part. So now it's resting on the part. And just nudging it around a bit till I get happy with the placement. Sometimes what you need to do is you need to pull up a little bit of the liquid as you're setting the decal down, just to make it a little bit easier to control. There we go, I'm happy with the placement. So what I'm going to do is, using a Q-tip, just kind of press it down. Sometimes the decal will move while you're doing this. If that happens, what I like to do is I just keep a paintbrush around, dip it in some water, and kind of work it underneath the decal until the water gets under there and the decal rises up, and then I just move it around to place and repeat the process. And you can do that almost an infinite number of times without having any issues. So now we're going to do the reverse side, and same process, hit it with a bit of setter. Grab the decals. And just kind of nudge the decal off the paper backing. And get it into place. So again, I'm just going to use a Q-tip. Oop, see, that time it moved. You see that? So, still enough liquid behind the decal where it's easy enough to move, so I don't need to use the paintbrush. But you just get into the place you want it. And then just tap it down lightly. There you go, front and back. And the next one, different type of decal is going to go up here, which is one of these that I previously soaked. Okay. I'm just going to drop the setter. Pop the decal down, put that down, and position it. And this decal is actually upside down, so I'm just going to move it around. Looks a little crooked. It's okay to be a little obsessive compulsive during this part of the build. The nice thing about water slide decals is that they have a lot of adjustability. Even once you push them down like this, you can still work a paintbrush underneath them and get them pulled up again to reposition them, and you can really move them around quite a bit. And I think that's the one advantage of these over all the other decal types. It's one of the reasons why I like working with water slides so much. So no matter how many times I screw up, I can always just put some water on it, pull it up, and replace it. Now, I know a lot of people like using the brush just like this. I've actually found I have more luck using a Q-tip, just so, just like this, and then just kind of rolling over and tapping it down and working around the decal. And I like doing it this way because I find that I can very easily flip the Q-tip over and mop up the extra with the dry side, and that by doing this I can prevent any air bubbles from showing up underneath the decal. So just a little bit, roll over it, and a little more on this side. Once you put the marks softer down, you really don't want to touch your decals, and you don't want them to touch any surfaces. So what I recommend doing is figuring out how to lay the part down in such a way that none of the decals are touching the surface that you're laying them on. Or if a decal is double-sided, or a part's double-sided, like you have the shoulder and you have the same decals in the front and back, you've got to find a way either to do one side at a time, or even use a skewer or something to just hold the part in such a way where you know it's not going to touch anything. For example, here I can use a skewer and just leave it like this and throw it in my painting block and leave it over there until I'm ready to top coat it. So there we go, this part's done. I'm going to throw it over on my painting block, and I'll show you a part that I previously decaled. So this was done last night. This is the chest component of the X2 crossbone, and this has been completely decaled at this point. Just needs to be top coated and I'll be done with it. And as you can see, the decals certainly help break up an otherwise bland, uniformly colored part. Especially on a kit like this where you have a nice big decal with a cool design right front and center. So, there you go. Now if you just want to hang out for a few more minutes, I'm going to just continue decaling parts as we go. If you're new to doing decals, I definitely recommend picking up some water slides. These are very easy to work with. You can get a lot of different sets, either first or third party. Some sets are more difficult to find than others now just because they've been out of production. But if you look around hard enough, usually you can find the decal set you're looking for with very few exceptions. These decals have been sitting a little while now, so they're a little difficult to get off. So I'm using a wet paintbrush to just re-moisten the backing to get them off. And there we go. Perfect. I will say decaling is a pretty tedious process. When I'm doing this, I'm typically listening to music or watching a movie or doing something else just to make this seem a little less boring. And it's perfectly alright. Depending on the kit, you may find yourself spending as much time decaling as you did painting or building. Especially true for Katoki models, as this one is. But oddly enough, the crossbone, maybe due to its size or just the design Katoki felt like giving it doesn't have that many decals, especially not compared to the Unicorn or one of those larger, more complex kits. So there we go. And a lot of people can go either way with decals. Personally, I think they can really enhance the look of a kit because they're very good at breaking up the monotony of simple color schemes or large patches of color. You'll never see me build a Unicorn, for example, without decals because I think the design's pretty bland otherwise, just being one essentially big white kit. Same thing goes for the St. Andrew Stein. I think the decals are really one of the highlights of that design. Okay, that one shifted a little bit when I was pressing down on it. So, to show you how to deal with that sort of thing, we're just going to use a brush and kind of bully the decal up from the plastic. This can take a little, there we go, see that? It can take a little time to get under the decal from a couple different angles to get it up. There's a little too much water under the decal now, so it's moving around a bit too much. You kind of have to manage the amount of fluid that's under the decal. A little bit will allow you to move it around, but too much will make it move a little too far or move in ways that make it difficult to center it. I highly recommend grabbing maybe a dozen Q-tips before starting this process because you're going to want to switch them out as they start getting overly linty, because you don't want to get the little cotton fibers stuck under the decals, because when you go to top coat the kit, it can look pretty bad if you have little cotton fibers everywhere. Okay, so now we're going to hit it with the softer. Now, if you don't know the difference between the softer and the setter is the blue bottle that we apply before sticking the decal to the kit, and that just helps the decal to adhere to the kit. I find that setter is more important when you're dealing with a lot of small decals. By small, I mean decals similar to like these little squares here, or these little tiny little warning sign decals. You'll find that they don't have enough surface area, so when you go to place them on a kit, sometimes they'll come off on your Q-tip as you're either placing them or applying your softer. So they can be a little troublesome to deal with if they're not adhered to the kit well. Another thing to consider as you're preparing your kit for decals, if you are a painter, it's important that you have a smooth, glossy coat of paint on your kit to begin with, like this. If you have a really rough paint, like you use matte paints, you're going to find that the decals do not adhere well to the kit, and when they do adhere well, you're going to notice that they're going to silver quite badly, and that's because of the rough surface makes it difficult for the